That's right, we're here. We keep things relevant and current and not real music. The top 40 albums of 2011. Yes, top 40 this time. I am going to run down the first 20 very quickly. I don't want to make this overly long and make you all bored, so I'm just going to breeze through the first 20, then talk about the top 20 more in depth. I hope you enjoy my list. You better enjoy it anyway. Number 40, the acoustic folk country singer Bill Callahan with Apocalypse. 39, Colin Stetson with his album, what's it called? New History Warfare Volume 2. 38, Clams Casino with his forward-thinking instrumentals album called Instrumentals. 37, Adrian Younge, who went on to collaborate with Ghostface Killah, but this album was a very good R&B album titled Something About April. Number 36, one of the most passionate English singer-songwriters around, Frank Turner with England Keep My Bones. Number 35, Elzhi's interpretation of Nas's Elmatic titled Elmatic, a very clever idea, and it was executed very well. Number 34, Adele, 21. Come on, if Adele's not on your list, you're just lying to yourself. Come on, man, Adele. Number 33, Liturgy with Aesthetica, perhaps the most pretentious metal album of all time, but I like it. Number 32, Wild Beasts with Smother, and then at number 31 we have Youth Lagoon with The Year of the Hibernation. Number 30, back in his lo-fi days where he was relatively unknown and just a Bandcamp guy, Car Seat Headrest with Twin Fantasy. Number 29, Holy Ghosts, Dancy as Hell self-titled album on DFA Records. And then number 28, your boy, Kung Fu Kenny with Section 80. 27, the punchy as hell garage punk album from the Butcherettes titled Sin Sin Sin. And then 26, personally my favourite ever album from the Weeknd, Echoes of Silence. 25, Oneohtrix Point Never with Replica, perhaps one of his best works to date. I suppose Garden of Delete did surpass that though. 24, back when Andrew Jackson Jihad were incredible, their album Knife Man. Everything before this album was just amazing by these guys. Subtract at number 23 with his post-dubstep self-titled album that he was never ever able to top. And at number 22, Rusty's very influential, wonky electronic album, Glass Swords. I've seen so many musicians copy this sound since it came out. At 21, perhaps the darkest album on this list, Have a Nice Life member Giles Corey with his self-titled album. Now, the top 20. Battles, Gloss Drop. This is another excellent math rock album from the band. Their best, I think, is Mirrored, but this one continued the sound and carried it on and kept it as excellent as their debut and has an amazing album artwork. Just look at it. Just look at it. 19, Milo, back in his mixtape days. Not his best work by far, but I still really love this. I think his earlier output where like he was just spitting random nerdy shit was really entertaining and really funny, and it was a really short release too. Yeah, if you like Milo and you've never gone back to his older stuff, check this out. 18, Pains of Being Pure at Heart with Belong. Yeah, a great shoegaze band, dream pop band that had some excellent work in their earliest days in their discography. And yeah, the first album and this album was really good. It was really well made indie rock music with a shoegaze edge. 17, Shabazz Palace's Black Up. Wow, this is like one of the best experimental hip-hop albums of the decade, without a doubt. Yeah, if you've heard it, you know why. I feel like in a few years it'll get more appreciation, especially since Death Grips have garnered such a big following. I feel like that will make this album kind of elevate its success. If you've not heard it again and you're a hip-hop head, go check it out. Chelsea Wolfe at 16 with Apocalypsis, like the most consistent singer-songwriter around. She makes really dark, no wave music with a really gothic undertone to it. And this is probably my favourite by hers. Maybe Abyss. I don't know, one of the two. 15. Like the most underrated hip hop group ever, to be honest. Cunning linguists with an oneurology. There we go. Such a low key, jazzy, smooth hip hop album. Yeah, probably like one of the better ones from their discography. A Piece of Strange, though, was an excellent album too, so check these guys out, please. Thundercat at 14 with the Golden Age of the Apocalypse. Of course, he's on this list. He has to be on every 2011 list. One of the best bass players around, and yeah, this is his best work. His first album being his best album, in my opinion. 13, another underrated MC, Rex, with his debut album. Not heard anything from this guy ever since this album, but I really love this album. It was very 90s boom bappy hip hop. Go check it out. 12, Dumbo Gets Mad with Elephants at the Door. If you're a fan of like Tame Impala or any other psych rock band, Temples, then you need to check this one out, because I think this is easily on par with those albums, if not better. I mean, I really think this is an excellent psych pop album. 11, La Dispute with Wildlife, quite a legendary emo album at this point. It's infamous amongst the emos, and for very good reason. You all know why it's so good, if you've heard it anyway. Top 10. St. Vincent, Strange Mercy at 10. Of course, I've said a few times that I think her discography is pretty much flawless. So, of course, all the albums before her latest one made my lists, and it's obvious why. She's one of the best pop singers around. Go back to this album, it's pretty excellent. 9, Bad Bad Not Good with BBNG, their first album, the instrumental jazz group that I think were really good at creating some smooth jazzy hip hop and sampled and created some of the older hip hop songs that are very well known. And yeah, this one isn't as good as their second one, but it's still pretty excellent. 8, Nicholas Jar with Space's Only Noise If You Can See. This was a really odd album. I don't really know how to categorize it. I guess it's kind of like indie, but it has electronic elements too, and his vocals are quite eccentric, but I don't know, I think this is just one of those albums that really clicks with you if you've never heard anything like it before, because it's very unique. 7, Destroyer with Kaput. Destroyer, Dan Behar, one of the best songwriters of our time, and yeah, most of their albums are pretty high in my books, so this one, of course, might be in my top 3 Destroyer albums. I know it's quite an obvious one. This one did put him on the map, but all of his albums before this were pretty great too. And this one just was like the height of his experimentation. 6, number 6, Danny Brown, XXX. Danny Brown, come on, this was an amazing introduction to any rapper. He just, right out the gate, proved that he was completely different to every other rapper around. And he put out Atrocity Exhibition in 2016, which is probably gonna go down as one of the best hip-hop albums of the decade. I'm not sure if I prefer this one or Atrocity Exhibition. I'd say they're about on par, but this is, yeah, it's just amazing. 5, Ice Age, New Brigade, like a 20-25 minute post-punk, post-hardcore, just relentless piece of music. And Ice Age did go on to do a bit of experimentation later on, but every album, even though they're all very different to each other, are really, really good. I do love Ice Age as a band. Yeah, definitely go check them out. PJ Harvey at 4 with Let England Shake. This one was really quite amazing how she was so late into her career and still put out like a critically acclaimed album. It wasn't just the fans that loved this one. This was like across the board. People were praising this one like crazy. She has an excellent discography, and this one just proved how good of a singer-songwriter she is, because even like 20 plus years into her career, she's still putting out amazing music. Three, James Blake with his debut album. Yes, this was like the pinnacle of electronic music in the 2010s, I think. Like, this was proven how like experimental it could be, and at the same time be quite accessible, and also have a singer who pens some really beautifully written music and lyrics. Yeah, James Blake, man. I mean, there's not much to say about him at this point because he's so well known, but this was definitely his best album. I do love this release. It's quite eerie at points with how ominous some of the instrumentals are, and I think this will go down as his magnum opus. Number 2, it's Death Grips. It's Death Grips. I'm not that original. Obviously, I'm gonna have Death Grips on my list. I mean, I don't know. I feel like now they've put out so many albums, this one's kind of fallen under the rug a little bit. Like, I feel like people forget how incredible this piece of music is. Like, this one was so noisy with less experimentation, I think. I think they did go on to experiment a lot more, but this one was so abrasive with not as much being done in terms of the music and all of the things they ended up doing, but I still think this one is incredibly well made. Ex-Military would probably be like my top 3 Death Grips albums ever. Let me know what your favourite Death Grips album is anyway. I'm curious. And my number 1 album, it is Fleet Foxes' Helplessness Blues. Now, it's a pretty obvious pick. I know a lot of people did include this as their number 1 album in 2011, but Fleet Foxes' music, man, just reaches into me like no other band. I just feel so connected to their music. It's so strange, but the beautiful arrangements across every song and every album they've ever put out is just like no other band out there. I do hope that people don't forget these guys in years to come, because honestly, they don't deserve that, because they have put out some of the most beautiful folk music ever made, and I don't know, it's so indescribable in their music. This album, as well as their debut, were just like perfect folk albums that I don't think any other modern folk artist could ever even reach, even if they tried. And yeah, Fleet Foxes they're just their own league. And that's my list. My list. What is your list from 2011? If you even made a list from 2011, because it's like 6 years ago now. Let me know what your favourite albums of 2011 were. Do try out some of the albums from this list if you never heard any of these albums, or if there are a few that you think, oh, I don't know that album, I might try it. Do go and try it. Subscribe to the channel for more lists and daily music reviews and discussions and questions. And have a good day.